Good morning. Thank you. Namaste. Welcome. So good to see you all here on this love-filled platform. All of us coming here with the intention of really opening our hearts and understanding that what is the meaning of true love, you know? And from my limited experience of, being in this field of healing and connecting to a lot of people and basically seeing that mostly people who suffer or so-called suffer in their lives is because they're suffering in their relationships. And like Vinita mentioned, it's also because a lot of us are not able to understand what exactly we mean when we say we love you. And in my course, the 7-week course, I know that most of you, some of you have experienced it. I also explained that, love has such a wide spectrum. Love, what it means to a toddler, to what it means to an adult or a teenager, is very different from what it means to a middle-aged person or a sage. It's totally different. And actually, a few years back when I started following my teacher, Muji Baba, there was a quote that I read there. And it really took me by surprise because for the longest time, I was not able to put it together. And I'm going to share that quote here because understanding that made a lot of difference to me and to my relationships and to the fact of what love was. So the quote says, love loves to love, and it's not personal. Love loves to love, and it's nothing personal. Now look at us. We are like 20 odd people on this group, and sometimes we are more, we are less. Um, we don't know each other personally. Many of us don't know each other personally, but yet there is a connection, there is a love that we all have within ourselves. When I say love today also, even though I mentioned in the write-up that this is Valentine's week and I'm mentioning love, I'm not just talking about the romantic love. That's in fact something where we get stuck in because we grow up with a conditioned understanding of what love is. But that separation anxiety or that suffering that we experience or a heartbreak that we experience as a teenager or even as an adult in our life, when we feel that my partner is not able to understand me or my boyfriend, girlfriend is not able to understand me, and that heartbreak is not just something that we sort of experience at that adult age. I would say that, when a toddler starts to go to school and there's that kind of a separation from the parents, even if it is for a couple of hours, the child is crying, sometimes three hours in the preschool or the play school, the child is totally crying because he's feeling that he's out of his comfort zone, the comfort zone where he has got used to getting love in a particular way. The school teachers, the school setup is actually as loving sometimes, and the teachers are making more of an effort to make the child adjust to the surroundings and give the child the kind of love and comfort that he's yearning for, he's crying for. But somehow the child cannot be pacified. Why? Because he's so comfortable and habitual with the kind of love that he's receiving from his mother or parent or father or grandparents or whoever's, the nanny, whoever's attending to the child at home. And suddenly the child is like feeling lost. And that's what happens to adults and teenagers also when you suddenly feel, oh, my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my partner is not around me, because we have got so habituated to having that kind of love from that person, isn't it? And suddenly we feel I'm out of my comfort zone. And it's such a personal thing. It's such a personal thing. And we begin to feel that my partner, I'm using the word partner, don't take me in any wrong way. It could be a parent, it could be a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, it could be anybody, just somebody who's just a partner, who's giving you that kind of love or that comfort that you are achieving. But what happens or what spoils that is when we begin to feel that kind of ownership that comes in. And actually, that is what we mean when we say it doesn't have to be personal. Just because she is my mother, she has to only love me, brings in sibling rivalry when the second child comes in, isn't it? Just because he's my boyfriend and he's talking to another girl, brings in a kind of a anger, rivalry, or a heartbreak inside us, because we take an ownership that this just belongs to me and this part of this person's life is just mine. And there may be nothing there, really, there may be nothing there. But it brings in that kind of thing because we are growing up with that conditioned way of feeling and believing that when somebody loves me, I own that person and that person owns me. And actually, that becomes very, very limiting. That becomes very, very limiting. And we actually shut down our heart center, if I may say it, energetically and spiritually, rather than expanding it. And I'm not wanting to go into anything, which is like the fact that, there are people who have many relationships or are cheating, this, that. I'm not going into all that because that's something which is very personal and I don't really resonate or connect to that. I'm just talking about the general feeling of love, the expansion of love, the security that we feel when we have somebody as he loves me and she loves me and they are mine. That's very limiting, very, very limiting. So we have to delete this term of owning and ownership in relationships. And that is so liberating. Because if there is that mutual respect and understanding not just of what you want, but also understanding what the other person in the relationship wants, that makes the relationship so, so wonderful, so open, and so grounded, isn't it? And then there is no fear or no insecurity attached to it. Where there's ownership, there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of fear of losing the person, fear of, that person not loving you, because you are so yearning for that love. So it is your need that makes you feel or get into that space of neediness or desperation in a relationship. A lot of times I also hear people when they come for healing that, somehow I keep attracting the same kind of person who betrays me, or who rejects me, or she doesn't behave in the way that I want the other person to behave. So is this a pattern that I'm attracting in some way? What is it that is making me attract the same vibration? So we have to understand that whether it is in love or any other aspect of your life, you have to understand that what is the underlying energy or the vibration that makes you attract that person? And what is it that you feel, that you need to work on when you're in that relationship? If you don't work on that issue or that vibration or that emotion, then definitely when you walk out of that relationship, you will attract a person with the same vibration. There is absolutely no doubt in that. There is absolutely no doubt in that. Supposing I'm in a relationship and I feel, oh, this person, triggers me and makes me feel very angry, and I walk out of that relationship, or I don't indulge in that relationship a lot, and I attract somebody else, and again I feel this person is making me angry. You see that pattern of attracting partners who make you angry. So it is the onus of that anger is not yours. Actually, you're putting it on the other person, but actually it is for you to learn the lesson that what is it that makes me angry with people around me? Why do I feel this anger? And work on releasing and growing out of that vibration or that emotion of anger. And then you will not attract that same thing again. But we get so needy and desperate and so fearful in relationships that we tend to, sort of lean towards people with the same kind of energy. It's just like, even sometimes the same person keeps coming in our life again and again, even though in the past that person has sort of, say, betrayed you or rejected you, or you have felt, humiliated or put down by that person. Why is it so? Because we don't allow ourselves to grow at those times. Tell me something, and I heard this recently in one of the lectures that I was attending, that if you go to a restaurant and you have a very bad experience there, would you go back to that? You would definitely think twice, thrice, or even rule it out of your list of choices to go out for a meal. Similarly, if you read a book and you just don't resonate with the author's words, or you don't like what the person has said, it doesn't give you a good, it doesn't connect with you. Would you go back to reading other books written by that author? Obviously not. Would you recommend it to others? Obviously not. So tell me, what is it in us that makes us crawl back or yearn or cry to go back into the same relationship which has not made us feel good, or has sort of in ways put us down, made us feel angry, jealous, whatever, and not feel good? Basically, we want a relationship to feel good, isn't it? If it is not made me feel good, why do I go back to that person or that relationship again and again? And if for some reason we are in a kind of a setup where I cannot avoid and I go back, can I not go back or be with that person from an empowered space and not fall back into the trigger in that relationship, that, that anger or whatever the trigger is? Can I not empower myself to grow out of that insecurity or that fear and yet be in that relationship? Because there is so much more in that, just besides just that. But what we need to talk about here and what I need to emphasize here is the foundation with which you build or choose a relationship. Of course, there are things when we are teenagers, there's attraction, there's a kind of infatuation. A lot of those things are there. And what is more important that we never sort of look at in relationships is how much am I valuing the other person's values or ideals, what the other person wants to sort of follow. How much are my values being valued by the other person? Sometimes it's like not even about what I want. It's about impressing myself or bringing myself to that stage so that I am liked by that other person. So even if I say don't like a particular drink, I choose to drink it just because my partner likes it, and that will make him and me resonate more, or her and me resonate more, just because that'll help me to be in that friendship and my friend will love me. We do that. And that's what sometimes leads to these peer pressures in teenagers, and this need for validation and to be in the group or to be the the so-called cool person in the group in school. So you tend to do these things because you feel that this will make me a part of the group, or this will make me be loved by my friends or the other people. But going back one step and just reflecting that why am I doing things that, or why am I expecting my partner to do things or to like things that I like, and vice versa. And that's why in a lot of times now in relationships, we hear the word saying that I need my own space. What does that space really mean? It's not just a physical space, though I see a lot of people, who are in the, like in their age, like at my age, around 50s and 60s, that they actually want a little distancing in terms of their physical space also. And there's nothing wrong in that, in respecting each other's space. In fact, I always feel that distance makes you come closer in a lot of ways. Just as you would like to be in your space and in your setup, so would the other person want. But when you are listing down what you would want to see in the other person, I also know that the other person also may have a list of what he or she may want to see in you. So it's not just about matching up to what you want in yourself to impress the other person. It's the other way around also. And they may not match. When I tell somebody I love you, it could mean that I really love you, I respect your values, I love you, and that's all. I just would like to be in touch with you. But the other person, when he or she says I love you, maybe meaning that I want to spend my life with you. So we all come with different contracts, the meaning of love. Meaning I just said it because I respect what you say, I love what you say, and that's it. But I don't want you to be breathing down my space. I don't want to be doing that. But when I grow into that friendship, the other person may be thinking, oh, I just want to be with this person. I want to live and die with this person. So did we speak about those things when we are getting into a relationship? And suddenly you feel that, yeah, this person was a nice friend. We were chatting and suddenly, they just fell off. I don't know what happened in that relationship. What happened is that you became so needy because your contract when you were entering into that relationship and saying I love you meant that, yes, I love you and I'm just going to be there day and night for you, and I want you to be there and listen to me and speak to me and share everything with me. Whereas when I said I love you, I meant something totally different, that I love sharing your ideas, I love chatting with you, but that's it. I don't want to go any further. And when the time comes when the expectation of the other person becomes so high, it's a kind of a misunderstanding, and then you feel heartbroken. So it's very important to start on terms of, when you're saying this, to make it very clear to the other person. I don't know if it is making sense. I would love to hear from you.
It's making so much absolute sense. And I have something else to add, Dee, because, love also brings in some kind of a ego. And when we try to have a ownership with the other person, possibly it is because we are insecure in our own spaces, that we are ready to compromise at the level that it gives us so much of stress. And I think that develops in our body, and that accumulation, and it's just a spiral then.
Absolutely. It is totally insecurity. And it's not just, I'm not even talking again about, couples and relationships like that. You look in a group of 4 to 5 friends who are very close, isn't it? So you always feel that this friend of mine she's my best friend, and she cannot be anybody else's best friend. But that's not true. Like a lot of times, I talk about my daughter because she's so social and she meets so many people. Like this one is also my best friend, that one is also my best friend, that one is also my best friend. Initially, I could never understand that. I mean, Ayushi, how do you have so many best friends? Then she would say, "Ye dance school ki hai, ye mere last school ki hai, ye mere college ki hai." But they're all my best friends. They're all my besties. But we always had it in mind that best friend can be only one, isn't it? And she is dedicated to me and I'm dedicated to her. But really, as we grow, we have to understand that that's not true. Right? I enjoy something with her because she's my partner in my dance class. And, we share and enjoy that thing so much that she's my best friend in my dance class. And I hold, she enjoys dancing with me and I enjoy dancing with her. And he's my best friend because we are sort of studying together in college and we have all our projects together and we really match up. And that's why we are partners and we have to complete our assignments and projects together. So obviously he's also my best friend, isn't it? And this friend was my best friend in school and we are still holding a very good relationship. So she's also my best friend. So then that personalization is there, yet it is depersonalized. That attachment is there, yet it is detached, isn't it? And when they are together, I mean, I see this in a lot of young people, which was not there at our time. When they're together, it's like everybody's best friend. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah,
You don't have to have
correct.
that, okay, I want to sit in the corner with this one and she has to be just my friend. And I feel that's such a healthy way of being. That's such a healthy way of being. And that cuts out all that rivalry and that jealousy because you're not coming from that ego space or that limited space of she is mine and he is mine, and they cannot grow out of that. It's such a lovely expanded way to be living in. So open your minds to these new ideas and thoughts, and don't let these fears and insecurity or limit you in ways. In fact, learn to share that love. We see that even when you talk about parents, you talk about siblings, a lot of times, if there's a big gap, the older child is very insecure because for say 8 9 years they've just had the parents to themselves, and of course the parents are totally doting on that child and they're doing their very best, and actually they're overdoing in a lot of ways. And then there's another child for who the parents decide to bring in into the family, and suddenly there's a like a kind of a fear that now all the attention will go there. That's not true. And all of us here who are parents would can definitely vouch for that. You're loving the older child as much as you're loving the younger child. It's just how the life situation or the circumstance is at the moment. If that child needs my attention more or that friend needs my attention more at this time, and I'm being kind to her and I'm speaking to her and I'm trying to support her in some way, that does not mean that I'm taking it out of that quota of love that I hold for you. That's not true at all. That's the insecurity that comes in. I mean, why talk about children and all? You even look at the staff in your house. The day there's an old maid and you assign a new person into the house, the old one begins to feel threatened that now you're only calling her for whatever you want. It's a kind of a insecurity that is there in all of us, but we really have to grow out of that because that's not true. That's not true. Of course, a new maid has come. I have to tell her, I have to teach her, I have to train her, I have to make sure that she knows what she has to do. But that does not mean that I am not going to be getting the work done from the other one. And they have to sit with a swollen face. That's not true at all. But that's just how our conditioned response is, isn't it? And when we look at them, we try to understand that why are they doing that? But we all do that. We all do that. Your friends are invited to a party and they are their best friends and you are not invited because for some reason, I mean, how bad you feel? isn't it? Because you feel that sense of rejection that comes from insecurity, that I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. It goes down to that, isn't it? It always goes down to that. And a lot of times, like I know even now somebody was asking me some time back, should I do inner child? I'm having such a tough time with my parents. I'm not able to, connect to my mother, and we're always having arguments and all. Should I take some inner child sessions, or should I do some therapy? It's not needed. Yes, there may be a time in childhood where you were traumatized or you could not handle those emotions. Why do we go into all these inner child clearings or healings from childhood, or we say they come from the past? It's because when we are a child, we do not know how to handle our emotions at that emotionally charged time in my life. Whether it was the coming in of a new baby, which is a very high emotional time in a home, and especially for a child, the older sibling, or it is something traumatic that happens as a child. You lose a parent, or you lose somebody close to you, or there is any kind of a traumatic mishap in a family, a separation. Why do you think you carry these? Because at that emotionally charged time, you did not know how to handle your emotions, and so you just bottle up, or you stuck up, and that pain body is there somewhere inside you. But now, with the kind of teachings, the kind of talks, the kind of exposure that we have to energy healing, we have to understand that we can't keep going back and digging that inner child. Yes, it's very important to address that, but we needn't keep going on for healings and healings just to heal that one thing. Come on, now let's get into that state of awareness and say, okay, so this is happening. Let me sit with my mother and explain to her that these are the things. If she can't understand, maybe I need to understand that she's not at that age at this moment to understand. So let me step back and make peace with what is. And that goes for everything in every relationship. Don't keep waiting for the other person to change. Don't keep waiting for the other person to change and the other person to say yes to everything that you want, the other person to agree to everything that you value. What really helps relationships grow is when you, who are aware, who are grown, who are evolved, can understand that you need to play that role first. You need to show that to your partner first. Okay, so what, when we, so many times as friends we feel, or as partners we feel, if you would do this, this would be so good for you, because this is, I see that potential in you. You see that potential in the other person, but the other person may not be resonating in it. You feel that the person will be very good in singing, and you push your child. Okay, he is a child or she's a child and she cannot say anything beyond a point, because you feel they have a very good potential in singing. And I don't deny that as parents, we can see those things. So the child may join that class, but sooner or later it will fizzle out if it does not resonate with the child himself or herself. Similarly, in adults, it would be very good if you follow this diet. It would be very good if you go for your walk. It would be very good if you, follow this exercise regime. Fine, you're saying it from a very good space to your partner, to your friend, to whoever, but they may not resonate. For them, it might be something different. They may just like to, maybe be in a gym versus going out for a physical activity. Or they may feel, no, I don't want to at this point. I don't feel this is my priority and I don't want to go into it. But that causes so much stress in relationships. Why can't he see that it is good for him? Why can't she see that this is good for him? Of course, they can't see it. If they could see it, they would definitely do something about it. Or maybe they see it, but at the moment, they don't have that energetic vibration or that connect to do anything about it. When it's time for them, they might see it. But have you turned around and asked that person, what is it that you would like to do? What do you want? What is your interest in this, say, field, whichever field you're trying to push that other person? And they may say, I have absolutely no connection to any kind of, gymming or going out for any activity. I would love to join a dance class. But you never even thought about it because dancing is not something that you resonate with. So help your partners reach what they wish to reach and not what you wish them to reach. Help them to see what they want to see themselves as and not what you want to see them as. And same thing vice versa. If you want to be seen as as an entrepreneur, your partner should be supporting you in putting you up there to help you support and reach your goals, not the other way around, not achieve what he feels or she feels in his head would be right and appropriate for you. Please understand this aspect. It's very, very important. What are your values? Don't topo them on the other person and think that this is the only way that your relationship can be, be okay. Because if I say go left, he should feel okay, or she should feel okay to go left. And if I say go right, they should say that. That is not a way. That is not the way at all. They may, under some pressure or under some, just to make peace, say that, but that is not really growing in the relationship. That is just making peace for the time, but internally they may be brewing so much more. Yes, Kaira?
Good morning, Sujata ji.
Shalini?
I just wanted to ask you, like you said that we should be trying to support our partners in achieving what they want to achieve instead of what we think would help them, right? What if at times your partner refuses that help? Maybe they don't want you to be supporting them in a particular manner. Maybe they feel like they want to handle it themselves. But on our parts, we don't really want to leave them alone or make them feel abandoned. So we don't really know how to support them.
Okay,
So
thank you for that question. And I totally understand the space from which you are asking that. So see, support does not mean that you have to be breathing down their neck. So many times, don't you feel, okay, let me just be silent. Let me just go for a walk. Let me just sit alone and reflect on what is happening. So many times, don't you feel it? And you want that space to be respected. So if that at that moment, the person says, I don't want you to be around me, it's okay. Support doesn't have to be that you have to physically be around that person. Pray for that person in your own ways. Why do we want to be physically around and show that I'm supporting you just because, I have bought you this that you like or something? That's coming from a total ego space. Now we have to grow out of it. All of us present here have to grow out of that thing of, doing something to be validated or to be showing to the other person. No, just if the person wants that, leave me alone, respect that person. That is what is the support that the person needs at that time, isn't it? And always turn it around to you. If you would be in that situation and you would tell the person, just leave me alone for now, maybe in anger, maybe in whatever, can you not leave that person alone? Would you not want to be left alone for that moment? Similarly, be around and just say, okay, I'm available whenever you need to. I'm there. I'm totally here for you whenever you need me. Full stop. So many of you message me at odd hours, knowing certain things. How much do I really connect with you or do anything physically for you? It's only because you reach out and you know that this person is there for me, isn't it? So many on this group can say that. So it's just about knowing that the person exists. At the moment, the person does not want me to, be around them in the energy field. I've told the person that be that person who he or she can reach out to at any time. But don't be there to breathe down their neck and make them feel more uncomfortable. Does that make
thank
sense?
you. Yes, it
So
does.
you have to understand that support does not mean that you have to stand on their head. I mean, you would know if your parents support you, your mother supports you all the time. But if you want her to be around all the time, no. But anytime you can turn around and say anything or reach out to her, that's the kind of support. Pray for that person. Provide an atmosphere. Like if you're having exams, you don't want everybody to be coming after you again and again. But as a parent, as a friend, provide that atmosphere that so that the person can, study well. In the same way, whatever you feel that the person would need in your own ways, just silently provide it. That's all. Send healing, send love, send healing, send prayers. That's the best way to support anybody. Why do I have to support by saying, okay, I'm standing here, come now, tell me, share with me, speak? No, that's not really. The person may not be feeling like sharing, speaking at that moment. So it's okay. Just step back. Just step back for that time.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Sujata ji.
Good morning. Hi,
I
Rima.
am a little confused, or maybe after this session, I think I'll get more clarity as to, I can analyze my past, what all happened. And now, because I'm like open to meeting new people, but the question that came to my mind was, what is it that I'm looking in for a relationship? because after many years, finally, I've got the confidence. Okay, let me just step out and see who's the new person in my life.
Hmm.
And I don't want to repeat my old patterns. And the point that you mentioned, that I like you, matlab, though two people can have very different perspectives. I wanted certain things from a relationship, and the other person ke liye I like you was only this, or provided he just wanted to take certain things where he needed that kind of a support ke mujhe theek hai, if he's somebody's like under stress, he could reach out to you, okay, I need a solution, or talk it out, and he found his solutions and he moved on. And my thing was more that I was emotionally dependent on a person, or with my, even with my family at times. The past 1 year has been that I've been very, very emotional. And suddenly during this conversation, I've realized, when my children are there, my parents are there, I mean, God is kind, and I've got good friends, which I know maybe they're not there every day, but I've kind of experienced that love with those 2 3 people, and I'm feeling quite fulfilled. But what next, when I have to like really, really get into a serious relationship with the person? I still don't have the clarity. I've been a giving person, but what is it I want? I mean, I think I need to be more assertive. One thing I've realized, and I mean, there's still something which I
Okay.
still haven't figured out.
I want to stop you here, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. That do you know what you want?
I'm now realizing, like, it's just my emotions. And after the healing that I've taken from you, I've done a lot of journaling. I've been in my hermit mode, and I've realized that, I mean, I was really giving a lot of things to people, but still I need more clarity now. Okay, maybe these are the small things, or probably when I meet a new person, I can say, okay, just be nice to me, just be kind to me. I don't want these kind of things I want.
Yeah,
Chota
but you
chota
see, you
cheez
have to
hai.
understand your definition of nice and kind may be very different from the other person's definition of nice and kind. So be more explicit and list down what is it that you would want in a relationship. Some people want it to be very logical, very, cut and dry, very black and white, and that's fine. And some people are more emotional, they would want more sharing, more. So be more, first, have that clarity in your head. And see, when you go into a relationship, what is it that all of us usually do? Like, look at you yourself, you're talking about giving. You want to impress that person so much that you start resonating, or you want that person to be around you so much that you start actually living like the other person, isn't it? But everybody comes into a relationship with their own energies. So first be sure of what is the energy that you want to carry, and don't like drop this thing of just merging into the other person's energy and flowing with it, because that's not how the relationship is going to function.
Yeah.
That's not how the relationship is going to function. So first have your list. What is it that I want in the relationship? What is it that I want from this new person that I want to attract? What makes me feel good? Simple, like I gave you the example. If you're going to a restaurant, what is the kind of food that you would like to get? You would come out feeling happy, feeling fulfilled, eaten that nice meal, feeling satisfied. So in your head, you know what you're going in for, isn't it?
One more thing I've realized, because
Okay, let me just complete. It may be wrong to compare the way I'm comparing, but I'm just giving you an example. That what is it that I want? What is it that will make me fulfilled? Have that as the top list rather than what can I do to make the other person? That's like going round and round. What can I do to make the other person like me? Now I've done everything that the other person wanted me to do, and now I've come into the good books of the other person. Now he should like me, but he never saw that part of you because you were only pretending to be him. If he liked a particular drink, you would say, yeah, I also like it. If he liked a particular dessert, you would say, yeah, I love this. So there was no differentiation. There was just like, yeah, you were trying to, you know, get in line with him. And all of us have done that, isn't it? Be it a man or a woman, all of us have done that, unless we are very clear cut in our minds about what we want in the relationship. So the moment you catch yourself really going into and doing things in that relationship, hold back. Say, do you want to do this, or are you doing this just to impress the other person and make the other person like you? Let the person like you for who you are. So first know what you like, what gives you happiness, and always coming back to whatever you want from the other person, first start giving it to yourself. You want to get compliments from the other person, start complimenting yourself. You want the other person to love you, start loving yourself. You want the other person to really appreciate your, what you're doing, start doing those things and appreciating what you are doing. But that other person doesn't have to also be in alignment with that. Now, if I like to eat, say, a particular cuisine, I like to eat Italian, and the other person likes to eat Mexican, it's not that the other person always has to like Italian. You have to agree to disagree. Okay, today let's do this, tomorrow we'll do this. And suddenly you might start liking the other meal also. But if you just keep sulking that, yeah, I don't like Mexican and she likes or he likes Mexican, then they're just like two parallel lines going all along. You can never meet.
Isn't it about at times accepting each other the way you are with your goods and the bads both?
Stop accepting each other, but not wanting to change each other for your own benefit. We accept them. I'm not saying we don't accept them. We have no choice. We have no choice but to accept them in the way they are to make peace. But the next step is that now I've accepted them. Now slowly, they should start coming to my side of the, of what my values are, my beliefs are. That's where the trouble starts. I mean, to make peace, we all accept. We can't change, whether it's partners or children or parents. We can't change, or friends for that matter.
I
But
have
then,
another question.
yeah.
It's
But
like now,
understand this clearly before you go on to the other question. Don't be in a rush. Once you start moving into their energy field and you start understanding, okay, this is their energy, this is my energy, then the next thing is that now we've understood, now he or she should start gravitating towards my energy field. That comes so naturally, isn't it? So catch yourself there. That why am I feeling the sense of discomfort and why am I not liking it if he's not, or she's not saying that, okay, they like this movie or because I liked it. No, you liked it, I didn't like it, and that's fine. That does not make him good or make me bad. Stop judgments. Catch yourself when you're judging in a relationship. That's a very big thing. Does that make sense? Then we can go on to your next question.
and like now the kind of, again, you said like we're in our 50s, going ahead with the 50s and all. And why do we need a man, or why this institution of marriage?
Well, you have to ask this, you have to learn this from this new generation that is coming in now. It's not about marriage. Marriage, see, I would even say, I don't want to again say anything about any religion and all. It's just our own growth, isn't it? That we start understanding that from where marriage was as a very traditional way of being to where it is now, there's so much that has changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who are choosing not to get married and they're absolutely peaceful. There are relationships where people are choosing to live together. The moment the word marriage comes in, there's a lot of ownership that comes in. Because of the way we have grown up thinking, okay, now you've taken these vows, now you're committed there, now you're committed here. And I'm not saying that you don't have to be committed, yes, to a level, but that has to be matched to your thinking, no?
Yes.
If I'm in a marriage and I have a lot of other friends who may be male or vice versa, that does not mean that I'm not committed to you or to my partner. But if the partner is so insecure and every time he or she feels that, okay, why are you talking to that person or why are you connecting to that person? Then that's not really being open, or that's really not being understood. That neediness is in you because you want that kind of a sense of belonging and ownership, that I belong to him and he belongs to me, and vice versa, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that gives you a sense of security, isn't it? That this is mine now.
Yeah.
Hoga, like I even go back to, hearing those Hindi movie dialogues that, okay, so now you're married into this house. Now only you have to die here. You have to live here and die here, come what may. And of course, those were times when women were not so financially independent. And they never even thought of separation or divorce, whatever hardships they might have been going through, whatever abuses they might have been going through. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that is how it was. Now things are so much more different because girls, firstly, women have really become financially independent. They feel equal, if not superior in so many ways to men. Because initially they were not given that platform. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just each It's just the way how society has been, the way society is growing, and how it is, and I again say this because I see children of, I have children, I have a daughter-in-law, a son and a daughter who are in the early 30s. And I see them, even if though my son and daughter-in-law are here, it's like, okay, today she's going out with her friends and there may be a lot of boys in that group, and vice versa. It's absolutely okay. They don't even have an iota of doubt or suspicion or anything like that. Versus look at somebody who's in our age group. I see so many women who are suffering because they feel, oh, my, partner is, or my husband or my wife is attracted to, she's going on calling him, he's working in her office, and there may be nothing between them. Just like, okay, they work together, or they may have a resonance together, they may be matching up in certain values together, but that does not mean that they've become ownership. You know what I mean? That's what creates the problem. Because of the thing that in a marriage, now I'm married to this person and I belong to this person. Nowadays, marriages are very, very different. I mean, people who are enjoying marriages at the age of 60, 70, they've been married for 50 years and they have a wonderful relationship, versus sometimes where it's just 2 months or 3 months and it's like, okay, I've had enough. I can't, there's nothing more. I just cannot live with this man. The person who I dated for, say, 17 years, and now I'm getting married to him or her, and suddenly they've become someone different. Because the moment the marriage thing comes in, there's a kind of ownership. So we have to break out of that. We have to break out of those kind of things. And we say, when we hear these quotes and we say these things, that, okay, when you really love somebody, just let them free. If they belong to you, they will come back. But it is that neediness, it is that little child inside you who has not got the love, or has felt secluded or separated, rejected in childhood, in school, by teachers, by parents, by adults, that you still feel that. Yes, you can nurture that, you can attend to that feeling, and you can look into it. And believe me, marriage can be something so wonderful. I see, as much as people are having relationship issues, there are also people who are really enjoying marriages. I think it's one of the best things that one can have in your life.
You rightly said, the like हमारा generation के जो है लोग अगर बाहर जा रहे हैं, that is, you took that word, हमारे बच्चों में वो एक confidence है कि अगर उन boys group में भी जा रहे हैं या girls and boys है, so they know कि we are there for each other. And I've seen friends who've come back and complain to me. I used to keep it as a secret, but that used to put me off so much that मुझे लगता था कि why do I need to move on, जब आसपास किसी को किसी पे विश्वास ही नहीं है, जबकि एक सबसे बड़ा एक विश्वास होना चाहिए एक दूसरे पर. And extramaritals and all these things happening, which really put me in a very sad mode. But now, yes, I think you rightly said, कुछ हमें ही change करना है अपने अंदर, कि जब मैं अब next किसी relationship में जाऊं, I know that or maybe I'm just happy on my own. But that's what I'm trying to figure out, and I think over some time I'll get that more clarity and then get in the right partner as to what I want.
And one more thing, this is again something which I'm sharing, which I understood through my healing practice, that when we get into a marriage, we think that the other person is going to come and complete me in some way. Marriages can never work because nobody can complete you. You are complete on your own and the other person is complete on their own. You're not seeking neediness and this thing from each other. That's not what marriage is. And of course, now when we look at things and we, even when we look at relationships, how these children have grown, they look at everything so differently, whether it is marriage, whether it is sex, these things were such taboos when we were growing up, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, when you have these children, they're all sleeping together, whether they are boys or girls sleeping together. They all have their mattresses and they have had a late night party. All of them are sleeping together. It's not that he's sleeping with her or there's nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
And it's only our mind that brings us into that thing. Oh, they're sleeping in a room and there are 3 boys and there are 4 girls. But it's not like that. They're just there together and they're tired after the party and they're off crashed. That's all. There's nothing more than that. And we have to give them that liberation and that freedom, because there is actually nothing. We are bringing in those negative thoughts, those polluted thoughts from our mind and bringing them in. And so many times you see these young ones, they are like, if somebody is not feeling okay, you may not be a so-called legitimate boyfriend, girlfriend, but they're supporting each other, they're holding each other, they're hugging each other, they're holding each other's hands. That does not mean that they have to be married. Don't we do it as friends together? Today, now there are people like, when we look even in the same relationship, you have boys and girls. So they're holding each other's hands, or they're hugging and kissing or whatever. That's okay. Just because they are labeled as to be two girls who are seeing each other. Why? Even our friends, we do that, don't we? But that does not mean that we belong to a particular category. So just drop those things from your mind. It does not have to, we don't have to be living in that limited mindset at all. We have to really, really learn to grow up from this.
Thank you, really. Thank you so
And I'm
much.
sorry I'm saying these things on this platform, and I'm not sorry, but I'm just coming from a very open, neutral space. I have children, I've seen them growing, they still live with me. I'm not saying that I'm looking at anything in any wrong way, but I know I have made these mistakes. I remember at one point when, my daughter's an architect and their college is right next to our home. So many children from Delhi used to come here, and they used to be working here till 4 o'clock in Shushan in the college. And next morning at 9 o'clock, they had to present their sort of whatever project, and they would be working here late night. And then suddenly somebody would be sleeping here, somebody would be sleeping there. And I would have sleepless nights thinking that, my God, that boy is upstairs and those two girls are also working there, but they're working as a partner. So I would go and actually, sometimes lift up my daughter's quilt, and I would find somebody else sleeping inside, and she's sleeping in the room upstairs with her friend. So there's nothing, it's only our mind that stops us from, or brings us into that negative phase or those sleepless nights. There's nothing in their mind. In fact, we pollute it when we keep telling them, don't do this, don't do this. You have to respect them. Yes, when you see that they're crossing certain boundaries, you need to correct them. But otherwise, it's fine. They're going on trips, they're going hiking. Children are staying abroad now. Of course, it's so much more common, and we are so much more in acceptance of it. But it took us time to accept it. Whereas in this generation, it is so natural.
Yes.
Isn't it? So broaden your perspective. Don't just get limited with what you have grown up in, and that is the ultimate, that is right. No, be open to love, be liberal in love. It's like, don't make everything so personal. Love loves to love, and it's nothing personal.
I simply love this line of
It's a
yours.
quote by Muji. And actually, when I heard it, it was like, how can it be? Love has to be personal, obviously, but it is impersonal. How we love. Whenever I close this talk or any of my sessions, I always say I love you, and I really mean it from my heart that I love you. But that does not mean it has to be a personal love, that I'm saying this personally to Gitanjali and not saying it to Srishti. That's not true. When Gitanjali needs me, I'm going to be there. When Srishti needs me, I'm going to be there. When anybody else, it's fine. But it's so good to be able to say that also. Sometimes we can't say it so openly, isn't it?
Yes.
Make it impersonal, and then go into a personal relationship also from the space of being impersonal. And yes, say that I feel jealous when you go out with your friends and all, and understand that. But be open about what you're feeling. That is most important in a relationship. Share your feelings. Say, I feel jealous, I don't like it. Don't like it, but reflect, what is it that you don't like? You feel envious that you can't go out and he or she goes out? Or do you feel that, yeah, I'm not good enough, and he values or she values other things in that other person? So learn to grow from that thing rather than falling into a low vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first have your priorities. What do you want from the other person? Or what do you want from your life? What is it that I want that can make me happy, satisfied, fulfilled? Can the other person who's coming into my life make me feel fulfilled? Same way, I want to have this meal and I want to enjoy this spicy food. Can this restaurant give me this food? Yes, then I will make that choice. In the same way, know what you want first, know yourself before you put yourself out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this.
Yes, Srishti, Tanvi, which one of you? Then I'll come to you,
I
Navya.
think, yes, Auntie, there's a question by someone. That person wants to remain anonymous. It says, I don't feel loved by most people in my life. Is it just as simple as the fact that people have different love languages? And I just don't feel the love because of that. Further, it says, how does one really feel the love when the way of expression is so different? My way is by being there emotionally and fully present, very different from the people in my life. Or is it just that I need to feel love for myself first before I can feel it from the others?
Absolutely. There are two things that I want to emphasize. I may have spoken about this previously also, but I'm repeating it here. Yes, the first thing definitely is that you need to fully love yourself. It's as simple. When we go to a healer, we go to a therapist, and I say, I just hate my life. I just hate myself. Sorry, I hate my life and I hate myself. I hate my life. I hate myself, but I want everybody around me to love me and to love my life and to be near me. How would anybody want to come into your energy field when your energy field is full of hate? Ask yourself, isn't it? So first you see, what is it that you are not loving about yourself? Because it is that vibration that you're sending out. And even if you go through your entire life, I mean, don't you think that there are things that you love about yourself? You are an emotional person. The other person is a very cut and dry, black and white person. So that does not mean that you don't resonate. So nudge the person to be emotional at times and try to be more logical at times, but know that you're not going to get that natural emotional flow from that person, because at the moment he or she is not capable of it. But understand, it's only the energy of how it is now. Maybe tomorrow you feel, oh gosh, I don't want all this breathing down my neck, or all the time this neediness and this desperation in the relationship. I want it to be a little, don't come so close, but just come so close. So you can't define that. The other person is changing himself or herself to be more emotional, and suddenly you feel, oh my God, all the time this person is, actually breathing down my neck, and I don't want you to be that emotional towards me. So understand that you have to understand that if it's your expression is emotional, enjoy your expression of love, because your expression of love makes you feel happy, makes you feel lovable, and then you pour out that love to the other person. And let the other person express their love in the way that they can. Maybe it's in a very silent way. And that's fine too, because that person enjoys being silent and expressing their love in that way. Maybe it's through some gifts, maybe it's through some messages, maybe it's through some, just being present. And actually value that. Don't think that only by emotionally being expressive, only then you can feel that love, or only by being emotionally expressive, the other person is loving you. That's not true. And that's not being fair to the other person. Just because you feel expression of love is emotion, for the other person, it may not be so. So respect and let the person be in that place, and you will know it. You will know it that the person loves you, even if they're not emotionally expressive. So trust your gut, trust your intuition. Does that make sense? Does it answer the question? Yes, self-love is very, very important. And if you feel that everybody around hates you, or everybody around does not love you, you have to reflect on yourself, that what is it in me that repels other people? And the moment you are able to understand and grow out of it, and what is it in me that does not like me? It's all about me and myself. Am I too much in my mind, and am I only being very, say, demanding and needy and egoistic? Then of course everybody says stay away. We don't want to be close to her or him. So reflect on these things. And I would love for you to, even whoever's asked this question, to reach out separately. And I'm very, very happy to guide you. Yes, Navya, I will not go without answering your question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my question was that I think that my friend is my best friend, but he thinks that he does not think that he is my best friend. He thinks of some other girl as his best friend, but I feel jealous when I talk to him. And sorry, I'm not able to tell you,
Okay.
but
Yeah, so that is bringing in a lot of possessiveness in love. And actually, at your age, I can totally understand that, because we're not grown to that level. Thank you for asking that question and having the courage to ask that question, because I totally understand. And we've all gone through these kind of heartbreaks and jealousies and envies in our teenagers and our growing up years. So I totally understand what you're talking about. But I would again say that at this age, if you're able to understand this and even reflect on it and even ask what you're asking, you're definitely on the path to growth. So understand that that person is not rejecting you. That person is not rejecting you. That person is not betraying you. He is probably just connecting to the other people as much as he is connecting to you, but you are being very possessive in that relationship. So either define it that, okay, now you are, so-called my boyfriend, and I don't want you to be sort of flirting around with other girls. But if you are just like, okay, he's just talking to them, or he's just connecting to them in a very open fashion, and you're also a part of it, that's just fine. But if it is more than that, then you have to question your values and say, okay, so maybe I cannot be with this person because I'm a little more possessive, or I would want a more, a more personal commitment in my relationship. It has to be agreeable to the two of you, isn't it? Isn't it? And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
working on you, so I want you to just go through your exams, and then definitely I'm going to help you in these things, because I don't want you to fall into relationships and heartbreaks and feel, more that you are not lovable, because that's not true. In fact, it is these relationships which we get
Because
into.
of this only, I am not able to concentrate on my studies.
Exactly.
So,
Right now, the focus is totally different. He's not running away anybody, anywhere. Whoever's meant to be in your life as your boyfriend, as your partner, your best friend will come. So don't worry. If it is him, he will be. If it is someone else will be there. But right now, the focus has to be on your performance, on your exams. That's what is needed. And that's true for all of us in our lives. When it's time for getting married, it's like everybody focuses on having fun and doing whatever. You may even take a sabbatical from your job because it's time to enjoy that. In the same way, at this moment, you need to just put that behind you and understand that he's not running away anywhere. If he's meant to be there, and he is not rejecting you by talking to anybody else, that's what you need to understand. And whatever needs
yes,
to be
ma'am.
dealt with will be dealt with at the time. Right now, my focus has to be my examinations. It's not the end of the world. I'm giving you this example again. You may not have been on this platform before, but I'm happy you're here. When we give our class 10th and 12th board exams, a lot of times we were expecting 97 and we get a 95. And just because of that, we're not able to get into a particular university. So many children at that time are ready to give up their lives, isn't it? Because they feel this is the end of my life. I will not be able to face anybody. But actually, 10 years later, when they're in a good job, they're settled, married, happy with their children and partners, we ask them, how much did you secure in your class 10th? You would not even remember. Isn't it? So nothing is the end of the world. Understand, nothing is the end of the world. Right now, just focus on what needs to be the focus in your life. And see, just love yourself, because you have to be that student who is securing and working up to her highest potential in her examinations. And when it is time to come into, the other things in life, they too will happen. The more you step away, the more you'll see that the other person's attention will come to you. The more you breathe down the other person's neck, get into the space of neediness and desperation, the more the other person will move away. For now, just keep this in your mind and work on it.
Chetna, let there be spaces and togetherness.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most healthy thing to do. Breathe and let breathe.
Yeah. Yes, Pritika, I'm happy you're here and I'm happy you're asking your question.
Thank you so much, Auntie. Auntie, how do we know, especially with our kids, that we're not overdoing that aspect of love? Because I think, especially when you have a single child, like you were mentioning, right, there is a tendency, you have paucity of time, so you overdo it, that love, because you think you want to do more in that little time. And I honestly feel that I'm probably going wrong somewhere. Let me just put it this way, because the child is becoming more dependent and more cranky if he doesn't get his way.
Exactly. You use the right word. In fact, I wanted to mention this at some point, but maybe we can continue about that in our next talk. The dependency is not healthy in any relationship. That does not make you a good person in a relationship. Yes, you have to, others can depend on you, but you don't have to be codependent. You don't have to be, that dependency does not have to be about life and death, isn't it? If she did not answer my call, that means, oh my God, I can't do anything. I'm paralyzed.
Right.
Isn't it? So many times you call me, particularly you, I'm telling you, and I know at that moment I cannot take your call. It's not that I don't have you in my heart or in any which way I'm ignoring you, because
Right.
you know that you have that trust in me, isn't it? So I don't overdo, and I know that you'll be able to, deal with this situation at that moment. If not, you'll call me again.
Right.
So
Right.
I do not want, I always emphasize this, that I'm a teacher, I'm a healer, I'm a whatever, I'm a mentor for you, but I don't want you to be dependent on me. That's the sign of being in a healthy relationship, whether it is with a child, whether it is with a partner, whether it is with a friend or with a parent.
Got it.
We feel that by being more dependent, the child will stick to me more and I will be needed more. That's the core of all relationships, that I want to feel needed in the relationship, isn't it? I want to feel belonging, and that's why the ownership come. Agar ownership ho gayi, now I'm married, now I'm in this relationship, now I'm needed by that person, and vice versa.
Right.
But that is not healthy. I mean, your friends, of course, you would reach out. If I cannot reach out to you, if I need help, I'll reach out to somebody else. But that does not have to mean that, you are not a good friend because you were not there at that moment. You were not there because you may be having something behind your whole thing. So that trust has to be there in those relationships,
Right.
isn't
Right.
it? So even with a
Right.
small child, don't make her dependent. Make her independent. Make her trust that you are there all the time whenever she needs you. Of course, she's too small to be understanding, but as she's growing, give her the strength to deal with her emotions on her own also. Whenever a small child used to cry initially, what? Kisi bhi tarike se just pacify the child, speak the truth, speak a lie, but just make the child quiet. Isn't it? Rona
Right.
nahi, it's wrong. The child is hurting, the child is feeling sad, the child wants to cry, but we are only trying to pacify the child by distracting the child or showing them something else, showing them a toy, giving them a chocolate so that they don't cry. Don't cry means don't get in touch with your lower emotions, with the emotions
Got
that
it.
are making you cry. But why
Right.
not? Why is it justified to be happy and joyous? Why is it not justified to be sad and depressive? I'm feeling so today. It's only a feeling, it's a passing cloud. It's not going to stay with you all your life. So
Right.
deal with that. In fact, I always say, confront it. A child is fearful from going into a dark room. You never allow that child to go into a dark room. Do you ever feel the child will be comfortable in the dark?
No, because you're not allowing that.
Yeah. So let them go in, let them stand in the dark room for 2 minutes. You stand with them and say, now so many things you can see in the dark room also. But if
Right.
you tell
Right.
them don't go in only, then that means that all their life they know they don't need to go. Whenever it's dark, it creates a fear factor. Even when they are 20, 30 years old, they know there's nothing inside, but that darkness creates a trigger in their heart. Because in childhood,
Right.
they were not confronted, they were not able to deal with that fear at that young age. So,
Right.
whatever it is, whether it is a heartbreak, whether it is a fall, whether it is a pain, confront it, acknowledge it that yes, of course, if you leave your child to school, of course the child will cry because he's feeling that separation anxiety. But we say,
Right.
"No, no,
Right.
nothing, it's so nice, look at that toy." Of course, these distractions are there, but deep down in your heart, you know the pain that the child is going through, you know the pain that the mother is going through. So
Right.
acknowledge that pain and tell the child that, yeah, I was also sad when you went there, but I know that this is for your benefit. And you will put the child to school, isn't it? If you don't put the child to school just because he's crying, they'll never adjust to life, because that is
Right.
the first step of separation from the parent, isn't it?
Right.
Don't make
Right.
it dramatic. That's why they in schools they say, okay, leave them for a small time, then extend the time. All these things are happening now, isn't it? Versus just snatching the child from the mother and taking them into the school and letting them cry for 3 hours.
Right.
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 And if some children, since I've run a play school, I know some children do keep crying for 3 hours. You give them
Mm.
whatever, they just keep crying. But it's okay. Soon that habit will fall off, because this will also become a comfortable zone. So you
Right.
passive, you love, you're trying to explain to them, but they cannot understand that logic at that age of 3 or 4.
Right.
Isn't it? So don't
Right.
try to be so logical. Let them confront the feeling. It's like how you take your child for a vaccination, how much it
Mm.
hurts the child. The child is,
Right.
then she's going to have fever for 2 days. She may have,
Right.
you will have to miss your job and attend to her for those 2 days. But you do
Right.
that because you know that that vaccination is giving the child immunity for life against
Right.
the disease. So though you're going through that pain, you're um, taking that step. In the same way, sometimes we have to take those steps which are not so comfortable, but we have to separate, or we don't want the child to be dependent, rather than just being there at the drop of a tear or a drop of a shout or a cry. Doesn't matter, let them deal. They have to learn to deal with it. You're not going to be around all the time, and that's when the child would feel abandoned. But when you're around and you're not there, that it's okay, you can handle it. Similarly, if the child does not, falls down every step and you say, okay, don't walk because you're going to fall down in the next step, the child will never learn how to walk. Similarly, in
Got it.
teaching them to do, ride a bicycle, you have those things slowly, you keep removing them. The child is bound to fall.
Right, right,
You don't fall, you just learn to drive the cycle without falling. That's impossible. She's going to
right,
fall, she's going to graze her knees, she's going to hit her, scratch her elbows, sab kuch hona hai. So as
right.
much as it is, let her feel the pain, let her cry, but then she'll pick herself, and before you know, she'll be riding the cycle on her own. Isn't
Got
it?
it, Auntie.
Yeah. So make them dependent, but be independent also. Know that they're dependent, you're there, they can always turn around.
Count
Like
on you.
you used to hold the cycle in the beginning, and then you just fake it as if you're holding it, and the child thinks you're still holding it, but he's biking along. So
Got it.
slowly,
Right.
slowly wean them off these things.
Thank you, Auntie. That's helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a lovely session. Oh my God.
Yeah, very fulfilling. Thank you. And
Thank
yeah,
you so much, Dev.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sujata ji,
Thank-
before we end the session, just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
So, during the course of this 1 hour, you mentioned, that to provide emotional support without not being physically present. And you mentioned that, you have been there for us while not physically, but we've been able to reach out to you and we know that you're there. And I just wanted to thank you for that. Like, that is something so special because it's always at the back of the mind that, if there is anything I can reach out to Sujata. And it's like such a heartening feeling and it gives such a lot of strength and courage. So I just wanted to thank you for that. Thank you so much for being there always.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, like when I message some people just before 10 minutes before the talk, come on, you have to be there. Thank you for being there. And I say that for so many of you. I know it's a lazy Sunday morning, but I feel these things are so valuable. Just so
So
valuable
important.
because actually, I only like last time after the talk also, so Lakshana called me and she messaged me to say that, you just speak from your own experience and you speak from your heart. And that's all that I share. I may be listening and reading, but it's not about, it's just validating something that I have gone through. And so I say that for so many of you also, isn't it? So thank you. And it's this mutual trust, this mutual love that we all hold for each other, each one of you. We are Valentines for each other. So enjoy your special week full of love and just be that love. Just know that when it's hurting, it's because you've taken it personally. Just remember that.
Sorry, I agree totally with what Shalini has said. Even in the middle of the night, I have reached out to you and I know you are there. And it's worked always.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Auntie, for your love and
Now,
blessing.
I request everybody to send healing and prayers to all the young children taking boards tomorrow.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
And my grandson is one of them.
Thank you. We include all of them in our prayers. And thank you so much for being here. Really, thank you. And I love you all from my heart.